Ultimately, publishing a website is about publishing content, and understanding how that content is used and consumed is a principal goal of any analytics package. Before we launch into the most important content report, the top content report, it's worth discussing the terminology used in Google Analytics to refer to the parts of the URL. Now, old school internet folks like myself may take issue with this naming convention not being 100% accurate, but for the purposes of using Google Analytics, it's important to know what they're referring to when they use these terms. Let's take a look. First, we have the protocol. The protocol is going to be your HTTP : / that we see at the beginning of a URL. By and large, the protocol does not matter to Google Analytics. As long as you're running the modern version of the Google Analytics tracking code, the GA.js, it takes care of all of this for you, and we don't care at all what the protocol is. HTTP, HTTPS, it doesn't matter. The next part is the host name. And what we're calling the host name is anything that starts here with the www, or essentially right after the protocol, all the way through to the end of the .com, .net, .org, whatever this final top-level domain is. All of this in between here is going to be referred to as the host name. And this is what you'll find in your host names report under the visitors tab. But as far as the content reports go, we don't care about this either. The only thing we care about in the content reports is this last part, starting with the slash and including the slash all the way till the end. We're calling this the URI, or the request URI, and this is what's going to populate our content reports. This is what is going to be considered our page, our directories, and everything that we see as far as the URLs in our content reports. Now, switching back to the top content report, we can see just that. Down here, we start with the slash, and we've got all the different pages on the site. The top content report orders these pages based by the most popular in terms of the number of page views. Now, this can be any page in the site. It doesn't necessarily go down by directories or pages. Whatever content is loaded up in the browser and gets hit the most number of times. The small box with the arrow pointing out to it to the left of that content is a link that will allow you to see what that is. So in case you don't remember exactly what this was, or you want to see this particular page, you click this link and it will go to that particular page, and you can see what that particular content was. We now have a couple of new metrics in our table. Things like unique page views, average time on page, and dollar index. Now, what's really interesting is when we look at things like bounce rate. Now we're getting to a point where we can actually take some action on bounce rate. Because generally speaking, when people come to a particular page and they bounce, the biggest thing we can do to take action on that is to change the page itself. And so here, I can easily identify which pages have a high bounce rate and which pages have a low bounce rate. Percentage of exit is a percentage of those that leave the site from this particular page. We'll look at that metric in more detail later when we look at that individual report. If you have e-commerce or goal values, dollar index can give you an idea of the overall value of the page. What this is the total e-commerce value plus the total goal value of the site divided by the number of page views for this particular page. One thing we can do in the top content report is filter which ones get included in the data table. For example, if I want to see only the pages and directories that have to do with analytics, I simply do a filter down here, click go, and now my top content report will give me the most popular pages that contain analytics. The top content report is a very popular report, as it's important to know what the most commonly viewed pages of the site are.